Hey, you guys. I hope this works this time. I did a whole video for you and there was no sound. I think it had to do with the mic, which I have here. It's not clipped to me, but it's close at hand and I hope that works. I'll pull it even a little closer. Um yeah, the the thing I had started with, and I think it's a good place to start, is uh the idea of, well, neuroscientists um the consensus used to be that the brain, beyond a certain point, when we were very young, things get set in stone, and that there's no growth, after sort of the developmental years, and that's been debunked as bunk. And the the brain the brain is plastic in the sense that it's malleable. It changes over time. New neurons grow, other neurons fade away, new neuronal connections are made. Like, the circuitry of the brain changes. And, with intent and focus and a sort of leaning toward the light approach, you can really carve out new pathways. The old neural pathways can be like ruts into which, you know, through habit and circumstance, um, also through illness that in some way kind of bends us in a certain direction. That even when we heal, we're still bent that way. Um, there are ways to carve new pathways, new paths, to blaze new trails. And if you're doing it in your head, it also is happening in your environment. And as it happens in your environment, it's like a feedback loop that advances you into new territory. Um, because there's a tendency in our brains to sort of go into the fight or flight or freeze mode. This old, more primitive brain, the limbic system that wants to just is looking for the threat. And when we can get out of that mode of um, bring the higher functioning brain, the more sort of ascended brain functions to the fore, so that when this alarm goes off in the nervous system that says freeze, flee, fight, we can sort of override that with a new neural pathway that says embrace this, lean toward the light, trust the universe, or what, there are mantras that put us in a better orientation. So tell us about that, the new neural pathways, striking new connections, forming new connections, going where we haven't gone before, and not going back to the old place out of habit that maybe doesn't serve us anymore. Well, that's wild, because that card came out in the reading that wasn't, where there was no sound. Crossroads, a need to decide, and perhaps an inability to decide. At a crossroads in sword energy, and swords are sort of, they speak to the neural pathway part of our existence, the brainy stuff. No, our brains are our friends, but we have to be willing to sort of work with them, not to just let our fear have put us in a place where we run the same route again and again and don't know how to break out of it because we're scared to, because we don't believe it's possible. I think the crows are saying it's possible. We're going to undo this. We're going to take the blindfolds off. We're going to liberate you. Tell us about the Two of Swords crossroads, please. Okay. Oh, that's wild because I saw that popped up before. When I saw the Two of Swords, I also saw the World card. And I just let it go, put it back in. It's back out. You may be at a crossroads, but you're about to step through into the world of the new neural pathway. You're finding your place through the portal. I mean, and she's ecstatic. There's a joy when after the pause, the crossroads, the block, the indecision, there's like this, look at her. Here I am. New life, new birth, new path. And it's a path of the heart. We have Page of Cups here. This young, fresh love, that almost has you a disembodied, head over heels. This is sort of heels over head, but same idea. Just this individual is sort of blown away. Look at the hair. He's just elevated up, out of the frame. Out of the frame. A part of him on the basis of this open-hearted energy lifts him into a new realm. Temperance. The second major arcana, world and temperance. Temperance was described recently by another reader as, there's homeostasis, which is to look, not to look for, to find balance through change, through responsiveness. So it's not rigid, it's supple. And life wants homeostasis, it wants balance. And to get there, it's a dynamic process. It's being in accord with the energies as they come, not like rigidly trying to stay within the frame. And it's a divine timing card, and I think it's suggesting no longer at the crossroads. You've made a decision to enter in to the new life, the new path. Something is completed, something is beginning. And I think it begins with a heart activation. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd step through this to get to this. And in this sort of feedback loop, the the heart activation also brings you to the next level. So you're drawn to the next level, and by virtue of your open heart, and this aperture opens, as it opens in your heart, it allows it oh man, I'm stumbling on my words. It's very poignant to me what this means, and I wish I could get it into words. This is the last card in the major arcana. After this, you sort of go back to Fool, to the reset. But the loveliness that's coming off this card, I mean, you're no longer at the crossroads. And what's carried you over? Your ability to give and receive love in this new way, Page of Cups. And, you know, it's not only divinely guided, divine timing, it something in this process, this tempering process that you've had to be patient with, has actually made you aware of your own divinity. You're the one with the angel wings. You're the one blessing this. You stepped through into that role and allowed yourself to believe it. You know, this is like being held up. I can't decide. I can't decide. Well, evidently, yes, you can. There's a change of heart. Okay, and I'm just seeing this little goofy hairband. So let's see about the Two of Swords. What is that decision or impasse? What's that about? Spirit. Ace of Swords. You know, if we were talking about swords sort of being the brain pathways, I mean, look at this. It's it's beaming right into your head. It's the new way of thinking. It's the opportunity for the new way of thinking and being. And it like is, you're passing through a portal into a, where you're in accord with your higher self to the extent that you identify with it now. It isn't like a higher self that's somewhere removed from you. You know, it's you. Talk about higher self. I mean, again, I keep coming back to the imagery of moving out of the frame. Moving out of the frame. Okay. And I noticed too, we have the crows in the Two of Swords. And in this one, there's a crow up here. It's in flight. And again, I think it has to do with working your way sort of through the maze, this labyrinthine spiral in, spiral out. And if there's been indecision, here's the fresh thing. Here's the reset. you're not only carving the new pathway, it leads to like a whole new realm, a whole new world. It's a whole new world. Let's clarify that. Let's clarify the world card. Thank you. Well, great success. And kind of a willingness to be seen. You know, she's in the spotlight. It's like the wand here is almost like a microphone. She's in the spotlight. Stepping through into a new way of being, successfully, Six of Wands, and willing to be seen. Willing to be seen. You know, accepting the light that's shining on you. And even though one is wands and one is sword, look at the beam of light and the beams of light. It's almost like it's almost like the light's coming in, the light is shining, you're willing to be seen. I'm having a hard time putting it into words. Sword energy, wands energy. Well, it's a little bit like this is not isolated, but this is in your head as a new concept. And then there's a sort of ta-da, your ability to bring it into the world and be seen and be a sort of the celebrator and the one who is celebrated. Let's see about this Page of Cups, this rising out of the frame, because your heart is expanding. It's really, it's giving off that, you know, rising out of the frame. No lie, rising out of the frame. And it's a prayer, and it's a prayer answered. It's a second chance. It's a rebirth as his world. And as this depiction of Page of Cups is like it's a rebirth. The power of prayer, something like that. I think in you know, if you're carving a new neural pathway, it's a spiritual path. And it has to do with opening the aperture in your heart, which opens the aperture of the world so that you can step through. Tell us about temperance, please. Becoming angelic, magician. You're a major manifester, you know. You're working all the energies to bring about this transformation. And it has to do with sort of recognizing your I just keep hearing, and this is you. This is you. He has this winged angelic presence right behind him, but he's become a part of it because it really looks like that he has the wings now. He, she, they. Temperance is a card of Sagittarius. Judgment, I see as Scorpio. Very spiritual. And it has to do with what you're doing to manifest this new life, judgment, this rebirth, this new self, this new neural pathway. And it takes effort to to reframe and redirect out of the rut, because it's much easier to, you get in the rut, you keep going in the rut. It takes some effort to steer your way somewhere else. And you're steering it via this manifesting work that you're doing. Tell us about the magician. You now have one, two, three, four major arcana on the board and three minors. This is big. This is big. There's a song by Mark Cohn that is now in my brain, that the lyrics of which are "She's becoming gold." Devil, willing to work with what's held you back. Habit. I'm reading this then as the habit, the habitual groove that you need to extricate yourself from, and you are. You're releasing something. You're working on manifesting your own release. Your own release. I don't know if you can see it. I mean, it's just got this ethereal body floating up. The ethereal body floating up. I want to get another on the devil. Okay. The lighter side of the devil. This is lovers. In traditional Rider Waite, it's almost the identical card. Devil over the couple, angel over the couple. And I think it's a willingness to work with this sort of shadow energy to get to the light out of codependence. Into lovers, into the being in accord with somebody else, choosing. And the devil here is sort of saying, choose me. I'm the one you know. I'm the habitual, the easy groove that perhaps was forged through trauma of some kind. But you're no longer at that impediment, that Two of Swords. And the new truth has to do with this choice to connect. Because the devil, for all its codependency and all of that, is a card of isolation to me. Being cut off from your core, or feeling cut off from your core. Tell me about temperance, please. What's this? Because you're not cut off from your core. Ace of Cups. I like all this cup energy. Page of Cups. Ace of Cups. Lovers. Lovers is air sign on Ace of Swords, air sign. Gemini. Lovers is Gemini, the twin. Coming face to face. And this is, in Cups energy, the opportunity for new love to move you. Again, I keep getting out of the frame. And maybe that means like out of the old frame of reference. You're being sort of pulled into an ascension, which essentially is into your higher self. Amazing heart activation. There are all kinds of stars and sparkles and just emanating energy out of the heart space. So you have Ace of Swords, Ace of Cups. I think the love gives you the new path, and the new path leads you to love. I think that's what I was trying to say before. There's this kind of interface between those two. I'm going to move this, which has the mic on it. So the mic wasn't connected before. There's something about that. Boom. Another major arcana. Wow. This is a card of Pisces. It's a card of, it's an energy of being submerged in your emotion. And, that makes sense to me. If you're Ace of Cups, Page of Cups, Lovers, I mean, you can't be in any of those places in your everyday life if you're not fully tapped into your feelings, both the conscious ones and the subconscious ones. There's something coming to consciousness for you. And I think it's the knowledge of your own divinity. And of the divinity of the other. Namaste. The God in me says, hey, to the God in you. We recognize each other. We're willing to see and be seen. We're willing to see and be seen. Tell me about the Six of Wands, this willing to be seen aspect of this. And keep going. Okay. Ten of Cups. I'm so happy when that happens. It literally gave me sort of the shivers, a bit of goosebumps there. I mean, it's being swept up in this feeling energy. Kind of birthing yourself. And Six of Wands, it also just means victory. So the victory in this is from your heart activation. You're opening your heart and taking the universe up on this offer of new love lands you victoriously in this place of all love. Judgment, please. Okay. This is similar to the last read, the one that had no sound, in that all these aces came out. Because now we have the Ace of Wands, activation of the third eye, the seer, having the light go on inside, second chance. I think it's also like you're able to envision the new way. Wands also speak to direction and in terms of that path aspect. The new light, the new path. That indicates a rebirth and a rise through this heart activation and the laying down of the burden. I mean, if you lay down the burden, you know, everything is lit up, lightens up, lightens up, lightens up, 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 up. And I think you're going to get help in the form of this. The ox that's now carrying the burden. You'll find a way to lighten your load. And it came out with Ace of Wands, which is the full cycle. From the first to the last. From the Ace to the 10. So laying down perhaps your old ways of thinking that involve this sort of bearing the burden to the new way. To the rebirth. Lightening the load. A new cycle. The closing out of the old, the old neural pathways. And see, here's the pathway, the well-worn path. And here's the ability to envision the new thing. And I think that from my own understanding about how to get out of the habitual groove and into the new, innovative, creative, artistic, visionary place. You're not walking this old path. The path leads way back, way back. You've got to reset. The reset. Okay, one on Page of Cups and the World. Because it's like this heart activation bursts you out of the frame and right on through to the joyful next thing. And it's a big deal. Tell us about Page of Cups World, please. Okay. we have the card of independence, independent prosperity, having enough, feeling of worth. So you're stepping in to a stable, it may be a new world, but it's a stable place where you belong. Nine of Pentacles, where you belong. And Five of Wands. Uh, this may be a struggle to somebody as there's interference of some kind. All these possible paths, this sort of disorganized Wands energy. Well, on one sense, it's the new Ace of Wands reset because you've completed a cycle in this. I've walked this path 10 times before. You've completed the struggle around that. The sense of which way do I go? How do we do this? I think the answer is you do it. You make the path by walking the new path and reaching for the higher thing. I don't know if you can see, but it's a little bit chaotic, but it gets you to the higher place. Knight of Wands. That inspired forward movement, fast, inspired forward movement. Because you've laid down a burden, you've worked through Five of Wands, something to get this new beginning. A lot of Wands energy here. Five of Wands, Six of Wands, Ace of Wands, Ten of Wands. Knight of Wands. This was in the first reading as well. Strength. Fire energy. Aries, Leo, Sag. Whatever it is, this struggle and this victorious attempt to break out of the rut takes courage, takes fortitude, and takes a part of the courage is to be both lion and lamb, to have compassion for yourself, that new innocent, and see half of her face is the lion, half of her face is the woman. Again, speaking to sort of the synthesis, drawing on, your own core strength. On your own core strength. There's a really nice balance here between this sort of melding of the two and the independence. The melding of the two. And Knight of Wands, very independent energy. I mean, it's responding to impulse. It's trusting in intuition, in the fire energy, to do the innovative thing, to do the innovative thing. And one more, oh God, one more, really? King of Cups, who also appeared in reading number one. I mean, this is that from the page to the king. And on the other side, Knight of Pentacles. So there's a period of working it out from the ace to the 10 and everything in between, because we have the 5, the 6, the ace, the 10. Working it out, stabilizing it, Knight of Cups, slow growth, slow, steady growth that will bring you from Page of Cups to King of Cups and into the realm of Ten of Cups. Into the realm of Ten of Cups, which is also sort of this realm, right? That Piscean water energy, major arcana, of being willing to dive into the unknown, into your own unconscious mind, to submerge in that. Because I think when you do the deep dive of the moon, what you begin to know is that you and your higher power are melded. You know, I think there's a tendency to sort of think of the higher power as something removed from yourself, one step up. And there is a little bit of that feeling of one step up in the sense of this Page of Cups. A new direction. Well, and I think that whatever you're inspired to do, which has to do with love and feelings and the opening of the heart, you're you're making slow and steady progress. So it isn't like you come out of the rut, poof, you're out of the rut. It takes work and effort and time and slow, day by day forward movement to kind of retrain on a deep level, your brain and your heart. Because the two are interwoven, for sure. They're interwoven. I think that's about it. I hope I've articulated it well, because it seems to me it's like it's expansive. It's expansive. Building from the stable person you are, having everything you need to manifest, you know, the kind of face to face relationship of seeing and being seen. And if there's a time frame, it might be Leo time, which is in the summer. It's going to take a little time. Knight of Pentacles. And there may be part of the time, may be uh, figuring out what you need to detach from and let go of. And there may be inherent in that a struggle. Because devil energy doesn't just release you easy peasy, you have to work it. You have to work at it. You have to Nine of Pentacles it in earth energy, move forward. And last card revealed, and I'll stop there, is Wheel. A sort of an echo of the world. Wheel is about divine timing too, being ready to step into your karmic destiny, to go on to the next thing, to step through the portal. And you've got the strength to do it, and the stability, and the willingness. And it's everything you need. It's everything you need. I think that's wonderful. I hope the mic worked this time. I hope to see you next time. Oh, and I wanted to mention before we go, I'm uh, working on uh, a few more options to support the channel. And I haven't quite hammered out the details, but coming in April, I hope to have, you can support the channel right now just by subscribing. And the number of people who are viewing the channel versus the number of subscribers, the views are off the charts. And that's always the subscribers always lag behind the views. Every channel I've looked at, that's the case. And I know we're going to catch up, but I encourage you to, if you haven't already, it's free to subscribe. And that just will support, if you're enjoying this content, this free content, let us know. And the us includes YouTube itself, because they'll carve that pathway, that new path to this channel, to us. So I invite you to join if you haven't already. It's free. You can unsubscribe if you change your mind. I hope you come in and stay in. But it's your choice. It's so your choice. I'll be here in any case. I'm not going anywhere. Except maybe out of the frame, into the new world, through the portal. Join us.